I found a business that you can start for pretty much no money. They can make $250 an hour. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down everything you need to know in order to get started and start making money as quickly as possible. And if you stick around to the end, I'm also going to share with you 3 secrets to be able to charge more than everybody else offering the service and actually still get the job. And 2 of these techniques actually used to land this job right here and to make as much money as we did. So you're definitely going to want to stick around until the end. But if you're thinking about starting a parking lot striping business, then you need to check out the How to Stripe course. It'll be the first link in the comment section and the description. In it, my buddy Chris walks you through everything you need to know, all the equipment, all the paint, all the procedures, parking lot codes, and everything else that you're going to need to know in order to start your parking lot striping business and to do it efficiently and effectively. So if you're interested, be sure to check that out. It'll be the first link in the comment section and the description. And the second link will be to my favorite stencil maker, Rob from Same Day Stencils. We're actually using his stencils in this video. I'll have his number down below. If you're somebody who's looking to start off in the business, then stencils are a very important piece and you need somebody that's going to do them right. So if you need stencils, it'll be linked in the comment section and the description as well. And you can message my guy, Rob, tell him Justin sent you. Now, let's get into it. In this video, you are going to see us stripe this parking lot with as minimal equipment as possible. It's kind of ridiculous how minimal the equipment we had on this one was. I don't even have like a extender pole for my roller, which, you know, will hurt your back a little bit, but hey, you got to get the job done. And I wanted to do this one as minimal as possible to prove to you guys that you can actually do these jobs and make money without spending a ton of money. So we're going to be talking about how you can start this business for absolutely free, and I have 2 different ways for you. So the first way is to collect a deposit. Now, this requires you to actually go out and get the job first and foremost, which you're going to have to do with way 2 anyway, is find a job. But what you can do is once you find the job, you can collect a deposit or a portion of the total cost of the job from the person that you're doing it for and use that to pay for all of your equipment, all of your paint, everything that you need in order to get started. So for example, on this job, this was a $600 job. If we were to collect a 20% deposit, we'd be able to collect, $120 up front. We could probably even maybe get away with a 50% deposit if you collect half up front. So that would give us $300 to work with regards to a budget. The beautiful thing about my second way of starting this business for free is you technically don't need to collect any money from the customer up front, and you can spend a little bit more depending upon a couple factors. So if you want to start your business for free, first and foremost, you can do it by getting the job and then collecting a deposit. Secondly, though, you can go to Sherwin-Williams, you can open up a contractor's account, and then you can actually get a line of credit on your contractor's account. And depending upon whatever your credit score is, that's going to determine how much money they're going to give you out of the gate to work with. So you could actually even combine these methods if you want. You could get a deposit up front, you can open your Sherwin-Williams account, and you'll have even more money to work with regards to getting the proper equipment and everything you need in order to get started. Now, for this particular job, I would say the cost in equipment was less than a few $100. I mean, the paint was absolutely the most expensive thing, and that's because we had to get 5 gallons. We're going to go through all the equipment stuff here in just a second, but basically go to Sherwin-Williams, open your account, get the line of credit, and then get everything you need, and then you're actually going to be able to pay it off as soon as you finish the job. My buddy Chris told me about a guy that did this method of going about doing business, and he actually secured a $5,000 job. He opened his line of credit, got all his equipment, everything he needed in order to do the job, did the job, and then paid it all off right after. So he got his striper, he got his paint, he got everything he needed in order to start this business by just doing his first job. And if you guys know anything about service businesses, that's one of the biggest things is the barrier to entry to get into them, how much money it costs, as well as the knowledge in order to do it. But when you do it this way, you kind of pretty much knock out that whole needing a bunch of money in order to get this going. So with that out of the way, we got our 2 methods for how we can start this business for free. Let's get into some of the other details like the equipment. So on this one, you guys are seeing us use paint. We're using parking line striping paint specifically from Sherwin-Williams. If you go on there and you can ask for that, you can get yellow, white, blue. We're using blue parking line striping paint. We're also using a 3M tape to tape off all of our lines here. If you guys don't have a parking lot striping machine, highly recommend. You're going to need to tape those lines off. We want to make sure we got some crispy edges. We want to make sure that we didn't make any mistakes, especially when we're painting in these hash marks. So 3M tape is going to be something that you definitely need. And even if you're just starting out, I'd recommend taping your lines in the beginning until you get a kind of good idea for how to use that machine. One of the beautiful things is Chris actually does some in-person training as well. So if you ever want to use a parking lot striping machine, go do some jobs with him on site. I'll leave some information down below so you guys can actually do that. Reach out to Chris and do some in-person training. So we need our 3M tape. We also need some spray paint for this one because we are spraying the handicap logos. We needed stencils in this case. Now, You don't always need a stencil in order to do these kind of jobs. You technically could try to tape off a handicap man. I will say it's going to make it a lot more difficult though. So maybe that's where, that deposit would come in handy to pay for the stencil. But we used our stencil, we used a roller, we used a brush. And if you want to make the job a little bit easier on yourself and on your back, like I said, you're going to need that extension pole so that way you're not constantly bending over. I guess I did miss two things. I didn't write these down in my notes, but what you're also going to need is something to hold the paint and something to kind of be able to pour the paint on. So some type of a cloth that you can lay out or some drop cloth, I think is what it's called. We actually pulled out a piece of plywood from the dumpster area. Luckily, they had that, and we were able to pour all of our paint there. You want to be really careful with how you're moving this paint around. We actually spilled some paint in a couple of areas, which leads me to a couple of other pieces of equipment that you're going to need. I would have some gas on the truck, and in the instance that you do spill something, as well as a wire brush. If you got some gas and a wire brush, you can easily fix any of those mistakes, because at the end of the day, you don't want drip marks all over the place. You don't want it to look sloppy. You want it to look as clean as possible and to give the customer the best result as possible. So I would say something to pour paint on, something to move that paint around with, especially if you're doing rollers, and then also the wire brush and gasoline in order to correct any of those mistakes that may happen. So with regards to equipment, that's pretty much all the equipment that you're going to need in order to do these jobs. Now let's talk a little bit about how to get customers. This particular customer came off of Google for us. They're actually a return customer. So they came off of Google and they called us back out because they wanted to do these handicap spots. We actually washed this whole parking lot. We washed the building. We washed the windows, and we restriped the parking lot as well. So we've already done a tremendous amount of work for these people. So they trust us and they know that we're going to do a good job. So we came back out. They wanted to do some handicap spots towards the front of this parking lot, which I can completely understand because I'm sure that they had people blocking up this entryway. So we came in, we striped everything. But the big thing is how you get your customers, right? We get a lot of our customers off of Google, having a Google My Business listing. You just want to make sure that whenever you do set this up, that you have it optimized or as optimized as possible to give yourself the biggest competitive advantage possible, because obviously there are going to be other people in your market that are advertising for this service. Now, Chris goes over every way that he optimizes his GMB profile within the How to Stripe course, which I highly recommend you guys check out. So that way you can kind of skip the learning curve on that. And I'll give you guys a little bit of a tip on GMBs. One thing that I have in place is a virtual call team within Quote IQ. So essentially all my calls are answered on the first ring. They're all screened, so I don't ever have to take calls from solicitors, as well as it allows me to keep my business open 24/7, because essentially I have somebody to answer the phone every night, every day, 24 hours out of the day. So highly recommend, if you guys want to give yourself a little bit of a competitive advantage, open your business 24/7, because Google's always going to promote the listings that are open against the ones that are not, because they want to give whoever's searching the best search results possible. So the way that I do that is just through utilizing the virtual call team. I'll have that link down below if you guys want to take a look at that as well. Now let's get into how do we charge for these particular jobs. Now I've done videos in the past breaking down how we charge for these, how I break it down through Quote IQ, taking aerial view, counting all the lines, counting pretty much every aspect that we're going to be quoting for. So I'll try to leave that link down below if you guys haven't seen that video already. That video is like 20 minutes long, breaking down all the ways that we do parking lot striping. So I'm going to give you guys an abbreviated version in this video, but we basically charge on the line, and that price may vary depending upon a couple of different factors. We charge based on how many wheel stops we're doing, how many handicap spots we're doing, how many hash marks, whether or not this is going to be a new layout or a restripe, which I'm going to tell you guys about here in just a second, as well as other things like how far is the travel, how busy are we, and just a couple of other factors. One of the factors that I'm going to save is how we actually are able to charge more, so be sure to stick around for that. But essentially, how we charge is based on the amount that we're doing, as well as our travel time and all of our costs associated with that. So I have a whole video breaking down every aspect of how we charge, so be sure to check that out. But the lines are typically, $10, $12, wheel stops somewhere around 15, 20, and then handicaps are usually around 50. But like I said, whether or not we're doing a new layout or a restripe is kind of brings up the price. So two different types of striping jobs that you can do. First is a new layout, which means that there's nothing there pre-existing. You have to basically go off of site plans, and then there's a restripe. So for a new layout, it takes a lot more time, a lot more attention, and a lot more energy to get that one right. So for new layouts, we always charge extra, and for restripes, we don't charge as much. Now, this one was kind of a blend between the two, because we have our new layout aspect and the fact that they wanted to get those hash marks done for that handicap spot. So a little bit of new layout, a little bit of restripe, and that was kind of blended together. So all those things kind of go into the quoting process. New layouts are a lot more difficult in my personal opinion, but they can be done. You just have to know how to read site plans, which is another thing that Chris goes through in the How to Stripe course. And if I broke down how to read stripe plans in this video, you guys would be bored to death. Trust me. trust me. So it's not necessarily mandatory in order to get started, but if you're going to do this at a high level and try to make as much money as possible, then I would definitely say that it's something that you need to know how to do. With that being said, let's jump into how to charge more than your competition. There's basically three different scenarios where you can charge more than what your competition is charging. First and foremost, for return customers, right? We know if somebody's coming back to us and they want the job done again, then they're probably not going back to other people, because once you trust somebody to do the job correctly, then why would you go find another contractor? So in this case, that was the instance. Now, we don't specifically price gouge people because they're return customers, but we know that they have faith in us, they trust us, and they know that we're going to do a good job, and we should be compensated as such because they're not having to go out and find a new contractor to do this job. The second one is referrals. So when one company refers us to another, we can always charge a little bit extra for that, because at the end of the day, you want somebody that you can trust. And who do you trust more than somebody that you trust to refer you that business? I get confused saying it, but basically, if a friend told you that you could trust this company, then that's the one you're going to go with. Why would you try to look up other companies? Because, you already got a referral. So in referral scenarios, we can typically charge more than other instances, which I'm going to tell you guys about here in just a second. But the last one is people that need to get the job done faster, in a hurry. So these people were in a little bit of a situation like that. They had messaged me and said, we want to get the job done as quickly as possible. And so I said, excellent. There's a little bit of a price increase to get boosted up in the schedule. And they were perfectly fine with it because they're a return customer. They know we're going to do a good job, and they obviously need it done as quickly as possible. So those three instances are going to allow you to charge more, as opposed to a customer that is getting a ton of different estimates. Hey, we're shopping around. Or a customer that really doesn't value the look of their parking lot that much, like maybe a gas station. There's a lot of gas station work that's really just as cheap as possible, just finding somebody to come in there and do it. Or somebody that you find maybe through like a Facebook ad or interruption marketing, as opposed to somebody who comes from actively searching for whatever it is that they're looking for. So a couple different instances where we can actually charge more and beat our competition out than others. Like, I don't even really bid gas stations anymore because I know it's just a race to the bottom. I would much rather find a customer who finds me off of Google, quote them quickly, and get that job and secure it, and then try to service them as many times as possible. That's really our business model. So if you guys got some value out of this one, hit the thumbs up button for me. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. I have a lot more like this. And if you made it this far in the video, comment down below blue balls, and I will hashtag you a real one. My name is Justin, forever self-employed. Until next time, hustle hard, get that money, baby. Peace.